Newsbud has no political affiliation, and we are 100% independent and funded through our subscribers. Right now, there is a huge push on social media to demonize President Trump's meeting with Vladimir Putin under the hashtag Treason Summit. Many people are calling this grounds for his impeachment and proof that Trump is a puppet of Vladimir Putin. Brennan, who is the perfect example of the revolving door between the establishment, specifically the CIA and the media, weighed in calling Trump's actions treasonous. Now, people are acting like Donald Trump is the first U.S. president to ever meet with a Russian president. Roosevelt met with Stalin. Eisenhower met with Khrushchev. And so did John F. Kennedy. Lyndon B. Johnson met with his Russian counterpart. Reagan met with Gorbachev. Yeltsin met with Bill Clinton, who also met with Vladimir Putin. George W. Bush met with Putin. Obama met with Medvedev and Putin. And most recently, Trump met with Putin. So why now, all of a sudden, is it treason for a U.S. president to meet with a Russian president? Why wouldn't the leaders of two of the most powerful countries in the world have diplomatic relations? Why is this now considered a bad thing? So I took a look under the hashtag Treason Summit, and I found this video that's been seen nearly 2 million times. Maybe this will explain why it's so bad that Trump met with Putin. Let's take a look.
What's most striking about all of this, and I would argue most important for voters to consider, is the relationship between Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Okay, great. Well, let's find out what's so concerning about this relationship.
As former Secretary Madeleine Albright put it, and I quote her, "We have never seen a mind meld of the kind between the Russian leadership and a candidate for the presidency of the United States."
Okay, so Madeleine Albright, who is currently listed on the board of directors of the Council on Foreign Relations, was also the former Secretary of State and former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations under Bill Clinton. Albright, who is perhaps best known for her infamous 60 Minutes interview, said that killing 500,000 Iraqi children was worth it.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
Albright later apologized for this statement and believes that Trump and Putin have a mind meld, whatever that is, but it sounds scary. Now back to Hillary.
Michael Morell, who ran the CIA and grew up just a few miles from here, has said that Putin is manipulating Donald.
Now, Michael Morell served as deputy director of the CIA and as acting director twice of the CIA under President Obama. Morell is known for supporting the CIA's lethal drone programs, as well as the agency's torture and rendition programs.
I don't like calling it torture, right, for one simple reason. Because to call it torture says my guys were torturers.
Morell endorsed Hillary Clinton, later walking back his endorsement, as he casted doubt on Hillary's accusations of Trump-Russia collusion in the special counsel's investigation.
I would not be surprised if Bob Mueller concludes that the Trump campaign did not violate the law with regard to its interactions with the Russians.
Now back to Hillary.
Putin is a trained intelligence officer from the old KGB. He knows he can use flattery to get into Donald's head to make Donald the Kremlin's puppet, and it seems to be working. Donald has signaled to Putin that he will let Russia do whatever it wants, from Ukraine to Syria and beyond. He's even said Putin is a stronger leader than President Obama.
Oh, no, he didn't. Nobody disrespects Obama.
And it gets worse.
Oh, no.
The U.S. intelligence community has now confirmed that the Russian government, which means Putin, is directing cyber attacks against targets in the United States to influence the outcome of our election.
President Trump addressed this in a recent press conference with Vladimir Putin. Let's take a look.
I think it's a disgrace that we can't get Hillary Clinton's 33,000 emails. I've been tweeting it out and calling it out on social media. Where is the server? I want to know, where is the server and what is the server saying?
Now, here at Newsbud, we've had multiple reports on the alleged DNC hack and the alleged Russian meddling in the U.S. presidential elections, including a report by Kurt Nimmo titled, "The NSA Hacked the Election, Not the Russians," and my Real House of Cards report. Let's take a quick look.
We never got direct access to the machines themselves. The DNC in the spring of 2016 hired a firm that ultimately shared with us their forensics from their review of the system.
This forced the intelligence community to rely on a third-party report paid for by the DNC, published by the private company CrowdStrike, and reported by the media. CrowdStrike is a privately owned company funded largely by Google. One of the founders of CrowdStrike, Dmitry Alperovich, is a senior fellow for the Atlantic Council, a Soros-funded think tank which has an extremely pro-NATO, anti-Russian philosophy. In 2013, the Atlantic Council awarded Hillary Clinton its Distinguished International Leadership Award.
That I would like to give Hillary an award.
Now back to Hillary.
So ask yourself, why would Putin be trying to get Donald Trump elected president? Could it be because of all the nice things Donald has said about him, or the fact that he has promised to adopt pro-Kremlin policies, or maybe because of the extensive business dealings with Russian oligarchs with ties to Putin?
Now, I'm no psychologist, but this may fit the guidelines for what's known as projection, when someone accuses another person of what they are actually doing. The Clintons have a long and documented history of working with Russia, including over $100 million that poured into the Clinton Foundation before and during Hillary's time as Secretary of State, plus $500,000 that was paid to Bill Clinton by the Russians for a speech in Moscow just before Clinton approved the Uranium One deal, giving Russia 20% of U.S. uranium reserves, which Mueller was also involved with. All documented in my exclusive report for Newsbud titled The Clintons' Swamp. Now back to Hillary.
Now, since Donald won't release his tax returns, and don't hold your breath, we don't know the full extent of his business relationships, but what we know is disturbing, and we know this. We are dealing with something unprecedented in the history of our country. A foreign adversary trying to influence our presidential election. That should scare everyone, Democrat, Republican, and Independent. And with the election just 8 days away, this can't wait any longer. Donald Trump should immediately disclose all of his ties and connections to the Kremlin and its associates. The American people deserve to know the full extent of these links and how they relate to what the Russians are doing in our election.
Again, see our reports documenting how the CIA has a history of not only assassinations and coups, but of influencing elections. Now, the truth is, Bill and Hillary Clinton have had more of a relationship with Russia and Putin than Trump, a relationship that they have profited from immensely. The military-industrial complex, one of the most powerful and influential lobbies in the world, also profits immensely from the manufactured threat of a foreign adversary. Nobody makes money from peace. The deep state needs a boogeyman to justify its mass surveillance, its police state, and its profitable, prolonged conflicts. Go to newsbud.com and sign up today for instant access to hundreds of exclusive articles and video reports that you will not find anywhere else, and thank you for supporting independent media.
So this had been going on with me in one of my meetings with him, but I knew that he cared about something I care about, which is wildlife conservation, particularly of endangered species. So I, out of the blue, we were talking about something that he was not happy to be talking about, and I finally said, well, you know, President Putin, I understand that you are trying to save the tigers and the polar bears and other endangered species, and he came awake. He sat up, he said, come with me. He marched me out of the room. We went down the stairs, down the long hall, into an office that surprised all of his security people who jumped up, into an inner sanctum, just he and I, and we went way at the back of this room where he had this enormous map of Russia, and he said, let me show you where those endangered species are. And he was telling me about the tigers in Siberia and the polar bears and all of that. And then he said, I'm going to go up and tag them, and do you think your husband, Bill Clinton, would like to come? And I said, well, I don't know, I'll ask him, but he's pretty busy. But, you know, I'll come if he can't.